Dexter, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Elias, thank you for having me, man. I'm happy to be back. It's a
It's
great
good,
time.
Mitch. It's good to see you again. Last time we spoke about the binge too. It's a wonderful binge. Now you got Half Baked, Totally High, man. Like you've been I was keeping track of you. You've been busy. Like it feels like you're going from project to project to project. I haven't seen you take a break yet.
I mean, I'm fortunate, you know what I mean? We've been working. I'm a workaholic, but I also take what I do very seriously. And when the opportunities present itself, if I'm auditioning and the job calls, I'm going to try to answer, especially if it's in the vein and in the realm of what I've been doing. But we had a strike too,
Right,
so
right.
I'm blessed to be working after the strike and a few projects that have been going. So I'm just trying to keep it going, man. Just trying to keep it going.
Amazing. Hey, you have to grind in this industry, don't you?
That's it, man. That's it. You got to grind. If you don't grind, then what are you doing?
Right, right. So yeah, so let's jump into your latest project, man. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews for this. Half Baked, Totally High. We see you as JR in the film. How are you approached for this project?
So I got a call shortly after binge one.
Okay.
I know they were in talks with somebody else, and then I had fallen through. And then I got a call from the director, Michael Titus. He called my agent and was like, "Yo, I really like this kid from the binge. Would he be interested in kind of carrying Half Baked and seeing what we could do with it?" And so when Michael and I got on the first Zoom conversation, similar to how you and I have talked in past interviews, we just hit it off. You know what I mean? It made sense. I understood the character. I told him my approach. And we've spoken about Saved by the Bell, and Saved by the Bell was not necessarily a remake, it was a
Right.
continuation. And that's the same thing I wanted to do with Half Baked. It's not a remake, it's not a contortion, it's a continuation. And it's a really interesting story if people give it a shot. So I think it's funny, and I'm happy to be kind of carrying the mantle of what Dave Chappelle had brilliantly
Right.
done before. You know what I
Right.
mean?
How many times did you go back to watch the original before you jumped on set for this?
I think I watched it like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
As soon as I got the offer, I watched it. I read the script for this one, then I watched it again, then I read the script, and just to kind of see how I can blend what Dave did in with what I wanted to do for JR. And
Mm.
then after that, I watched it maybe 2 or 3 more times, but you don't want it to get too stale because you don't want to just like there's things that are already written into the movie that are paying homage to the first one,
Right.
right? So you don't want it to get stale when with what your performance is, because you want to give this current audience, this current generation who's familiar with cannabis or has a very
Yeah.
different relationship with weed than they did in the 90s, right? So
Yeah.
you got to make sure that we're making it modern enough for kids to understand and enjoy it or have fun with it for anybody who enjoys that kind of stoner comedy.
Mm. What was the description you were given for JR?
He's, just a guy who's kind of smart, but hasn't really reached his potential because he fell in love with cannabis and he just enjoys going with the flow with his buddies. He's kind of the centerpiece. Him and Joel Courtney's character are kind of him, Bruce, are kind of the centerpieces of the group, while Miles and Corey, Ramona, Bisha Young, and Moses we're just friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So JR had a lot of potential to do great things and just kind of didn't.
Mm.
And I kind of feel like in that space in my career where I have the potential to do some great things, and so I'm going to make sure that I can. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to JR.
Mm. I know, like in the sequel, like the none of the originals like pretty much was on it or with it. Like, but did you get a chance to talk to Dave Chappelle, or did he give you a call like, hey,
No,
like ideas or
unfortunately,
anything?
unfortunately, I didn't.
Okay,
And of course, I've met him before, the
okay,
kindest guy, the nicest guy. But once I found out that he wasn't going to be a part of the project, because I think originally that there was talks that maybe he would have been,
yeah,
but that was before I even signed on. So when I signed on, I knew that he wasn't going to be a part of it. And I know that the way it kind of ended with him and Neil in the past with the original, with the negotiations, that it was kind of a sour
okay,
plate. So I was just like, let me just go ahead and do this one this way. We also have the original Mary Jane
yeah.
on, you know what I mean? We also have Harland Williams came back too.
I did,
So
yeah.
and yeah, so we have some OGs who are affiliated with the original
Yeah.
who still felt like this was in the vein of what they had did.
Mm,
But I didn't get to talk to Dave, unfortunately. But
mm.
next time I see him, I'm just gonna say thank you. Just bow. You know what I mean?
Hey,
That's it.
right,
Just bow to the goat.
right. Well, like the original too, it's got like, it's like it's a cult hit now. Like any pressure, like trying to continue on that, like a legacy kind of in a way.
Well, I think when the first one came out, people didn't really understand it
Yeah.
originally. You know what I mean? It was kind of like Newsies in the sense of it bombed
Yeah.
in the theaters and then boomed later became this cult classic. So I think that the expectations when making this one were kind of in the same, you know what I mean? Because when you caught lightning in the bottle with the first half baked, you know what I mean?
Mm,
So will you catch it again? Who knows? But can we have a great time with a great director and a funny cast making a great movie was
mm,
kind of what we just wanted to do. And I think that's what we did.
mm. What's the thoughts now? If you see a third one down the road?
Yo, I definitely see a third one down the road. The movie's kind of left it with that ambiguous space. Hopefully, Dave sees this one because there is some hints and tips as to where Dave
Yeah.
fits into the story. And so I think that a third one would be great, and I think that getting this cast back together again too. I know Moses has gone on to do some really great things with his stand-up comedy. He's doing Netflix's comedy next week, I think.
Yeah.
And at the Hollywood Bowl, which is going to be awesome. And Ramona is just so fantastic. And we got Dave Keckner back still, and so we
Mm,
got hitters in this movie who can make a sequel great with Dave Chappelle attached to it eventually. So we'll see.
right. Last question on the movie though. What was your favorite thing about JR? What did you enjoy about this character?
Man, JR came into my life in a very great time when I was playing him. I had just got done with Saved by the Bell. And so I was kind of trying to figure out what was next. Chang Can Dunk did really well and it was its own thing, but it hadn't come out yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I had just shot Chang Can Dunk when I was shooting Saved by the Bell. So with Half Baked, it was done. I was trying to figure out what I was going to next to do in my career. How can I transition from high school comedy into teen adult world? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's a very hard transition for actors to do. So when JR came along, I really kind of poured in where I was in my career into this
Mm,
character because he's kind of in a very similar tradition transition in his life. Like my friend just passed away. I'm living at my mom's house again. What am I going to do next? I know I have potential to exceed greater. I'm working well. I keep a steady job. I'm getting promoted at my job even. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
but still, I'm a pothead who doesn't really have any ambitions or goals. And so,
Mm,
what can Dexter use in his own ambition in his career to kind of fuel JR's drive? And I think that's what
mm.
I did.
Amazing, amazing. What can you tell us about your next project now? And I saw you sign up for Fight Night. I
I
know you
did.
can't. That's what I'm
Oh no,
reading
no,
right
no, yeah,
here.
no, I did, I did, I did, I did, I did, I did.
Don't mess with me. I got
I'm just
notes
messing with
here.
you, man. Hey, this is a second interview. I gotta keep it hot. I gotta
Yeah,
get when next project comes around, I gotta make sure you're inviting me, back to
right.
Henson.
Oh, definitely, man. I like it, man. Muhammad Ali, greatest boxer of all time. Like,
So,
what's your thoughts on all of this? What can you tell us about this project?
we can't say anything yet, unfortunately.
Mm,
But I mean, I can tell you some great things that I've already gotten out. Like the cast is absolutely incredible. Um, it features Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson, Don Cheadle, Taraji P. Henson, Terrence Howard, Sinqua Walls, Melvin Gregg, Miles Bullock, Chloe Bailey. The list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And so, we're coming together and we're kind of assembling like the Voltron of life story, true story biopics, because this is a moment of Muhammad Ali's life right after military suspension, where he came out and it's just about his first fight back with Jerry Quarry and the crime heist that went down in Atlanta when this fight took
mm,
place in the great city of Atlanta. So
okay.
there's multiple storylines happening at one time, but it's great. And I think with this cast, I'm really excited for people to see it. It should be out sometime by the end of the year.
Wow.
And playing the great Muhammad Ali, like what can
Yeah.
I, it's an honor. And I think I'm so grateful for Half Baked Totally High because it showed me how I can lead a movie, be number one again, like I did in, with a binge. And so I think I took that experience and applied it to what I needed to do to hang with these icons. Anytime
Mhm.
I'm in scenes with Don Cheadle all the time, it's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's right. All right, man, let's end this by I was told to ask you, how often do you get asked about Saved by the Bell? And is there still like any chance for something to come back? Have you heard anything?
And I get asked about it all the time, and I think a majority of our cast does feel like we left something on the table with it. I
Yeah,
think we felt the strike looming and they kind of canceled us before we got to do season three and kind
yeah,
of tie it all up into a bow. So who knows, man? I mean, I get asked about it all the time. Devontae is definitely one of my favorite characters.
yeah.
I'm still very close with a lot of the cast, and Mario actually helped me train with some of the boxing stuff for Ali. I
Uh,
got to work out with Mario Lopez, which is really great. So, I think we leave it a lot on the table with that show. And Tracy Whitfield is so brilliant. Franco Barrio, the original producer. I think we got to bring it back in some way. Maybe a movie. How about a Say
that's
by the
right.
Bell movie would be
There you
fire.
go. There you go.
That would be fire. Because Josie's going on to do such great things with her Apple TV show. Alicia is coming out right now on the new Bel Air in the new season.
Mm,
So we're doing things, and I think it'll be great to kind of use our momentum and the OG's still camaraderie to bring it back to close and finish that world. What happens with Jesse and Slater? What
right,
happens with the high school kids when we graduate? And
right.
while I'm still look young enough, I think before I start letting this facial hair grow.
There you go, my friend. Dexter, how can the viewers and listeners find you on social media now to keep up with you, future projects? I know you'll be posting pictures soon of Ali and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely check me out on Instagram primarily. That's where I am. I'm at Dexter Darden. I also have a TikTok at Dexter Darden. And other than that, like just keep up there. And I think coming soon, I'm going to start finding ways to just keep informing people on my social media about what I'm doing next outside of the projects that I have going on.
Yeah,
Just independently building my own brand and my own industry as I
yeah.
continue to grow.
Amazing. Dexter, thank you for coming on. Let's do round 3 next year sometime or next project.
Yes, sir. You got it, buddy. Absolutely,
All
Elias.
right.
Thank you,
All right.
man.
Thank you. So